The Link Show is just about to start. If you want to be a part of The Link Show, head over to linkkids.com.au/live.
Today on The Link Show, we are starting a brand new series called Fear Fighters. We're talking about fighting fear with faith.
And we're going to be linking it with kids from churches and schools all around the world.
And I have a very special challenge where one of these two hosts for the next couple of weeks is going to be overcoming one of their fears.
What?
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
Pause.
No pause. It's in the script now because I just added it in.
No.
It's alright, we'll get to that in a second. Before then, let's get linked. So, like we said, we've got a very special challenge / surprise that these guys didn't really know about today on The Link Show, where one of them is going to be overcoming a fear. For the next few weeks, we've got a very special guest who's on their way right now. She'll be here soon.
It requires someone else.
Yeah, it requires some. She's bringing some friends. That's all I can say.
What?
So, what we need to do, I love the shock on their face. What we need to do is we need to figure out each week who is going to be facing their fear and who's going to be reading the shout-outs. So,
Miguel.
No.
Reading the shout-outs, Miguel.
Reading the shout-outs.
No.
That's what.
Miguel lost Which Way is Wise like so many times. I feel like this needs to be his punishment for losing it.
See, the past is the past. I feel like ladies first
No!
is the thing, right? Like, that's what I was taught when I was young, ladies
No,
first.
but I won, so I get out of this.
Okay.
No!
So, can I make it better? I'm not actually going to choose.
We choose. We, paper, scissors, rocket.
The wheel of faces
Oh.
shall choose. So we're gonna spin the wheel.
No.
Are you ready?
No.
Look, here we go. We're gonna spin the wheel. This person is gonna be facing their fears today. 1, 2, 3, go! Who's it gonna be? Connie! It's Cece! Okay, so Cece's going to be facing her fears this week on The Link Show, which means, Miguel, you are going to be reading shout-outs. Can you go get them ready while I have a little conversation with Cece?
It's not okay.
It is okay.
It's not.
Okay, so here's what's going to happen. We are going to help you overcome your fear.
Buckle.
Fear.
Nope.
What? Is it the way I'm saying it?
It's definitely the way you're saying
Fear.
it. Stop!
Did I not say it? Clear.
Not
Is there
really.
something stuck in your ear?
Should I put this in your ear?
Okay, we're gonna change gears
No!
a little bit.
Buckle!
And while I get ready to start teaching us all about fighting our fears with faith, let's jump over to Miguel, who's about to read some shout-outs.
Let's read your shout-outs. Ivy says, I love the new studio. Thanks, Ivy. We love the new studio too. Grace says, I love your videos. Thank you, Grace. Kids from Riverland Central Church say, we love the stuff that you tell us about God and that you share about God with people. If you want to hear the rest of your shout-outs, head over to the Link Crew YouTube channel and check out the Link Crew and You video. But right now, let's go see what Buckle is up to.
Okay, so we're starting our series called Fear Fighters, where we're learning about overcoming our fear. And the thing is, we all have different fears that we face, different things that we're afraid of. For example, even as an adult today, I still get afraid when I'm really high. I have a fear of heights. When I was younger, I had a fear of the dark. Different things can make different people feel afraid. Now, there's some funny fears that are out there that even have real names. So, for example, nomophobia is the fear of being without your mobile phone. So, nomophobia is being scared of not having your phone with you. We have arithmophobia. I hope I'm saying that right. Arithmophobia is a fear of numbers. That's right. So there's some people who actually have a fear of numbers. Now, there's lots of different funny fears, but we all also have serious fears that we face. For some of you, it might be the fear of being rejected or being hurt by someone that's being mean. For some of you, maybe it is a fear of being alone or left out. You see, it's okay for us to have fear. It's a natural part of our everyday life. For example, maybe having a small fear of fire. You see, maybe you're not afraid of fire to the point where you have to run away, but there's a part of you that's like, be afraid, be careful, because if you put your hand in a fire, you might burn yourself. But here's the thing, although we all have fears and to different levels, so for some of us, like for me with heights, yes, I have a fear of heights, but I still overcome it. I still go on roller coasters that are really high and I don't miss out. For some of us, our fear gets to the point where it's so overwhelming and it takes so much of our focus that it actually stops us from living our lives, from experiencing our lives the way God intended. You see, I've got other friends who also have a fear of heights, but it's so intense that they would never go on a roller coaster. Never ever. They're too afraid to do it. Even though they know in their mind the roller coaster is safe, it runs all the time, there's a part of them that will not let them get onto that roller coaster. They're missing out on an experience that they otherwise would enjoy. And so for you, I don't know what your fear might be, but I know that we all have different fears that sometimes can get in the road of us actually making the right decisions in our lives and doing things and experiencing things that maybe we wouldn't have experienced otherwise. You see, I remember once when I was younger, I used to go fishing with my dad. It was something we loved doing, but he had this place that he wanted to take me, and we would go in the dark to get there, and we would have to walk around this outcropping of rocks, and it was a long way out. And for me, it took me so long to get brave enough to go out with Dad, because we would get to the beach and we'd go start walking out along these rocks, and I would get too afraid and say, "No, Dad, I can't do it. I don't want to go out. Let's just fish on the beach," and I'd miss out. And then we'd go again and I'd miss out. And I'd go again and I'd miss out. But eventually there was this one morning where the sun hadn't risen yet. And my dad was like, "Do you want to try and overcome your fear today? Remember, I'm going to be with you. You're not going out on those rocks alone. I'm with you the whole time." He's like, "I've got a torch. I will light your path. I will show you the way. If you trust me, I promise that although it's scary, I can't take the scariness away. I promise you that you will be safe." And so finally I worked up the courage and I walked out with my dad around this outcropping of rocks. And once we started walking, I realized as long as I was with my dad, I actually had nothing to fear because I knew where I was going, because I could see the light that my dad was shining in front of me. You see, in our lives, God wants to be that father for us. He has a plan for us, a place that he wants us to get to that will change us for the better and help us experience things that we wouldn't have experienced otherwise. But it's up to us whether we're willing to take that step of faith and overcome our fear. And so a little later on, we're going to take a look at a Bible story where this exact thing happens, where the disciples are in a situation where they have to make a choice. Will they have faith or will they have fear? And we'll see what happens, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Oh, it's so good to be back. I'm so excited to be starting our series called Fear Fighters, because what is about to happen next is going to be pretty hilarious. Cece has no idea what's going on because we have a very special guest called SJ, all the way from True Blue Reptiles. You probably figured it out from the name. Now there is a purple bag on SJ's lap. We need to find out why. Hey SJ, how are you today?
Good, thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Now, why is there a purple bag with you?
I have a friend to introduce you to today.
But do I want to meet this friend? I
Of
love
course you do.
friends.
Yes, you're overcoming your fear today, Cece.
Okay.
Would you like to see who it is?
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
Yep,
Show
okay.
me my friend.
Okay, here he is.
Oh. Oh my gosh, what is that?
So this is Danny.
Danny.
Hi,
That's
Danny.
such a cool name.
Can you tell what kind of a lizard Danny is?
Blue tongue lizard.
Yeah, exactly. So as the namesake suggests, this lizard has a bright blue tongue. It's a kind of skink. There are lots of different kinds
There
in
you go.
Australia, about 460 different ones. And blue tongues are probably one of our most familiar lizards because they live everywhere
Yeah.
True,
in
I've seen
Australia.
them all over the place.
Yeah, they're quite urban lizards. They're often in people's gardens.
I didn't realize how big they can get. Danny is
So
huge.
big.
I was thinking that
That's too
Cece would be
big.
holding like a little lizard today.
That's very big, Buckle.
So, Cece, are you ready to meet Danny?
As ready as I'll ever be.
I love Fear Fighters. This is my new favorite series. All right, you got this, Cece.
I got it. So
Okay.
You
how?
got this.
What am I
What do
doing?
you need to do?
So, 2 flat hands with a big gap in the middle.
Back.
Danny's front legs and back legs just go like that. There you go.
Is it as scary as you thought it was going to be? Or do you feel like you're overcoming your fears?
I feel like I'm doing okay. I think I'm doing okay.
So, this is only week 1 though, Cece.
No.
Over the next few weeks, we're going to be spinning the wheel. Miguel in the hopes that you get it next week as well. But, well, what's the one animal you wouldn't want to hold?
I'm not touching a snake.
You wouldn't do a
It's
snake?
Not happening.
Let's try and hope that Cece gets a snake if that's going to happen. But let's give Danny back to SJ. And if you want to experience holding one of these animals for yourselves, SJ actually does birthday parties, which is really, really cool. You can hold these animals and you can get to meet Danny for yourself. But hey, while these two gush over how gorgeous this blue-tongued lizard is, why don't we go check out today's animated Bible story? Say hello to Jesus. Jesus, the Son of God, the Savior of the world. And while Jesus was here on earth, he traveled around telling people how much God loved them and healing their sick. One day, Jesus was down by the sea, teaching his disciples. But so many people had gathered to hear him speak that he had to get into a boat and push off into the water a little bit. He sat in the boat and spent the day teaching his disciples using stories and pictures. But it was now the evening of that day, and Jesus said to his disciples, "Let's go by boat to the other side." So after sending the people away, they took Jesus with them in the boat. And it was the same boat that he had used to teach them. And there were other boats that were traveling along with them. But not soon after they left, a bad wind came up, a big storm. Waves started coming over the side of the boat. The boat was filling with water, but by now Jesus had fallen asleep in the back of the boat after spending the day teaching. The disciples were so scared. They came to Jesus. They woke him up crying, "Teacher, don't you care? We're about to die." Jesus got up, saw the storm and the winds, and he spoke to the storm. He said, "Be quiet, be still." And at once, the wind stopped blowing. There were no more waves. A calm covered the area. Jesus turns to his followers and said, "Why are you so full of fear? Don't you have faith?" The disciples looked at each other and said, "Who is this man that even the wind and the waves obey him?" The thing I love about this story is that Jesus probably wouldn't have bothered calming the storm if the disciples didn't let their fear overtake them. You see, Jesus in the middle of the storm was fast asleep. Now, I doubt that Jesus didn't know about the storm. Like, I'm sure if you've ever been on a boat, if you're in a storm, you're rocking around, you're rolling around, you're probably rolling in your bed and whacking into the wall. Like, I'm sure that Jesus knew that they were in a storm. But Jesus also knew that God had a plan for his life and God was going to help him get to that destiny. And so Jesus didn't have to worry about being afraid of the storm because he knew that his God was bigger and more powerful. But the disciples did the opposite. They put their focus on the problems and the storm and let their fear overtake them. And so they go to Jesus and they wake him up, and it says that they say, "Lord, why are you sleeping? The boat is going to sink." And so Jesus gets up and he looks at the storm and he says, "Stop," and stops the storm. So firstly, crazy moment where Jesus proves his power, right? Mind blown. Very, very cool. But then Jesus doesn't turn to his disciples and say, "Look at me and how powerful I am. I was able to stop the storm." Instead, he says, "Why didn't you have faith? Why were you so afraid of the storm that you forgot that God is more powerful than the storm, that God is stronger than the storm, that we would have made it through okay because God is on our side?" I love in Isaiah 41 verses 10, he says, "Don't be afraid. I am with you. Don't be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my hand." It doesn't say that God stops all the storms. There's going to be storms. Things are going to go wrong. That's just a fact of life. But he does say when things go wrong, don't get disheartened, don't be dismayed, don't be afraid, because I am God. In other words, Remember who I am and how much more powerful I am compared to the storm is what God says. And so here's my choice for you and me today. We all go through storms. You might be in the middle of one right now. What will you focus on? Will you focus on the storm, or will you focus on the one who is more powerful than the storm, who promises to get you through? And so if you're watching this today and maybe you're going through a storm, I challenge you, I encourage you later on, take some time on your own and pray and ask God to help you to make it through. Or maybe you're watching this today and you didn't even know that God loves you, that He has a plan for your life. What I'd love you to do is head over to our live page. There's a button at the top of where you do the shout outs that says yes to Jesus. Click on that link, watch the video on that page, because it talks all about how we can make a first step of faith to become followers of Jesus, to become Christians. But hey, I gotta get back over there because it's time for us to do the recap. All right, what a fun episode of The Link Show we've had. I hope you've enjoyed our first episode of Fear Fighters in this series. We've got a few more weeks coming, but hey, we're gonna recap what happened today.
So today we started a brand new series called Fear Fighters, where we learnt all about fighting fear with faith.
I had to hold a lizard. She was pretty cute, I'll give you that.
And today's Bible story was all about Jesus calming the storm.
That's right. So you've got everything you need to go and do the quiz, which you can do later on. But hey, thanks for hanging out with us. Like we mentioned the other week, if you want to see all the rest of your shout outs, head over to our brand new The Link Crew channel. Got the new logo. It looks super cool. You'll see it over on YouTube. So we've got a video there reading all your shout outs. There might be some bonus clips in the next few weeks from Holding the Animals. But hey, thanks so much for hanging out with us. My name is Buckle.
My name's Miguel.
And I'm Cece.
And we'll see you next week on
The Link Show.